Hello everyone, welcome to EPG Pathshala program in linguistics. Today we'll discuss the module Atypical Phonological Development and OT from the course Advanced Phonology. I'm Reshma Jacob from Center of Linguistics, JNU. I'm speaking on behalf of Professor Farouk Shuzari. In this module, we'll discuss phonological disorders and the related terminologies. We'll also look into the characteristics of atypical phonological development. Atypical phonological development refers to the phonological development that is deviated in some ways from the typical phonological development in children. It is generally referred to as phonological disorder. Phonological disorder usually results in impaired intelligibility. It is one of the most common speech language disorders that speech language pathologists encounter in preschool and school age children. It is a deviation in which children cannot use speech sounds appropriate for their age and language. It is also described as almost entirely unintelligible spontaneous speech resulting mainly from consonantal divergence from target pronunciation. In certain individuals, vowel system can also have an effect. The speech deviations resulting from atypical phonological development were initially called articulation disorder. In 1960s, researchers analyzed the speech sound production of impaired children and concluded that their patterns needed a phonological explanation as well as an articulation explanation. So therefore, two different terms were employed to refer to phonological deviation in children: articulation or phonetic disorder and phonological or phonemic impairment. In articulation disorder, individual sounds are produced incorrectly, but the phonological system of contrast remain intact. In phonological disorder, the child's system of contrast does not conform to that of a normal adult. Speech language pathologists reserve the term phonological disorder for developmental phonological disorders and the term articulation disorder for production based speech sound disorders. The phonological system of atypically developing children will be discussed now. The phonological system of atypically developing children are similar to those of typically developing children from many aspects, such as effects of segmental and syllable markedness on their phonological development and the existence of phonological constraints on morphological production. However, some phenomena such as chronological mismatches, unusual segments, or repair patterns, etc., are observed in disordered productions. However, some phenomena such as chronological mismatches, unusual segments, or repair patterns, etc., are observed in disordered productions. Such occurrences are normally not observed in typical productions. According to Bernhardt and Stemberger, 1998, the border between normal and atypical phonological development is still unclear. In phonologically disordered children, vowel errors are less frequent than consonant errors. Moreover, the occurrence of vowel errors is different from language to language and seems to be interrelated to the intricacy of the language's vowel system. Hargrove in 1982, in a case study of a highly unintelligible child, observed that vowels in monosyllabic words were more precise than in multisyllabic words, and tense vowels were more precise than lax vowels. Pollock and Kaiser in 1990 studied 15 children who were misarticulating vowels. The errors observed in these studies were somewhat similar to that reported for the phonologically impaired subject in Hargrove's study. The results of this study also demonstrated error types similar to those reported for younger, typically developing children. The patterns of vowel fronting, backing, raising, lowering, and centralization reported by other researchers were also observed in these children. However, in this study, lowering and backing were highly frequent in children and raising and fronting were extremely rare. Children with atypical phonological development seem to follow the general tendencies reported for normally developing children in acquisition of manner and voice features, which demonstrate a development of marked features after unmarked features. Regarding place features, it is proposed that phonologically disordered children may be more likely to show dorsal as their default place feature, while typically developing children are more likely to have the more expected coronal as their default place feature, that is fronting of dorsals. Children with the phonological disorder may indicate none or very few oral place features, substituting all or many phonemes with glottal stops or glottal fricatives. It is observed that glottal replacement occurs more in the speech of children with atypical phonological systems. Some phonologically disordered children substitute later developing sounds and features. However, normally developing children can also demonstrate such patterns. Amar and Morsi in 2006 have claimed that the children with atypical phonological development follow the pattern of normally developing children, but for them, there is a delay in the acquisition of phonemes. Comparisons of consonantal inventories in languages such as English, Italian, Swedish, Turkish, and Greek indicate that children with atypical phonological development have inventories more similar to their language peers than those of children with other languages. Such data strongly support the opinion that children with atypical acquisition show similar environmental effects as typically developing children. Many children with disordered phonological system follow the same order of acquisition of syllable types which have been observed in the typical children. And we already discussed the order of acquisition of syllable types in the last module. In the first stage, they acquire the simple CV structure, and then in the later stages, they acquire complex syllable structures such as CVC, and finally, they'll acquire syllables with clusters as in CCV or CVCC. However, there are children who deviate from the normal path. Some children show initial consonant omission with early stages of V and VC, and others acquire CCV before CVC structure. The most common deviations are related to the relative order of coda versus onset and the relative order of onset clusters versus coda clusters. Amar and Mosi in 2006 indicated the di and polysyllabic word simplification process is regarded as a general process across impaired children, and the omitted unstressed syllable usually occurs word initially. Let's now look at the error patterns in phonologically disordered children. As already mentioned, majority of the studies on phonological disordered children have found many phonological patterns in these children's speech that are similar to the patterns in typical children. However, there are also dissimilarities between typical children's speech and disordered children's speech. These differences are categorized as persisting normal processes, chronological mismatch, unusual and idiosyncratic processes. So, by persisting normal processes, we mean that at least some of the pronunciation patterns evidenced by phonologically disordered children are similar to those found in normal development, but disordered children continue to use them for a longer period than normal children do. Sometimes several early phonological processes persist but co-occur with pronunciation patterns typical of later phases in phonological development. Such a condition involves a chronological mismatch. A number of error patterns describe sound changes that do not usually occur during typical phonological acquisition and is therefore classified as atypical, unusual or idiosyncratic phonological process. Some of such error patterns are medial consonant substitutions or deletions, initial consonant deletion, extensive final consonant deletion, backing, sound preferences or neutralization, glottalization, and substitution. In medial consonant substitution or deletions, initial consonant deletion and final consonant deletion, as the name suggests, medial, initial, and final consonants are deleted or substituted. The replacement of front consonants with speech sounds posterior to the target is known as backing. This process usually describes the replacement of dorsal stop for a coronal stop. For example, the word jump is realized as gum. So the front j is produced in or realized as g, which is produced in the back, in the posterior or the dorsal area. Sound preference or neutralization describes the pattern in which a favorite sound is used for all sounds or special sound classes. For example, the sound d is used for all fricatives, affricates, and nasals, as in the word jam may be realized as dam, the word TV is realized as DD, and the word map may be realized as dap. So the favorite sound d substitutes all other fricatives and fricatives, affricates, and nasal sounds. It should be noted that these types of phonological errors are generally produced in disordered phonology. However, a limited number of these errors may also occur in typically developing children. It is also important to note that the phonological patterns observed in one language are not necessarily the same as the phonological patterns observed in other languages. There are some language specific developmental patterns too. Now let's look at classification of atypical phonological development. Children with atypical phonological development are a heterogeneous group who differ in terms of etiology, severity, and type of surface error. It has been attempted to describe 2 or 3 very broad types of phonological disorders. Some of these early classifications have been important in shaping the existing conceptions in the field, such as organic disorders versus functional disorders, speech disorders versus language disorder, production disorder versus reception disorders, etc. Now we'll look into 2 major categories of phonological disorder, namely organically based speech, speech sound disorders, and functional phonological disorders. Organically based speech sound disorders encompass those children whose problem with speech sound can be easily connected to an obvious etiology or cause. For example, hearing loss, otitis media with effusion or motor speech involvement, etc. And such an effort to classify different types of organic speech sound disorders will help clinicians to understand those children with speech sound disorders of unknown origin. Now, it is important to note that the existence of an organic problem does not necessarily determine the kind of speech sound disorder a client may have. We'll now discuss some groups that are representative samples of organically based speech sound disorders. Structural variations, genetic syndromes, hearing loss, and neuromotor disorders are a few of them. Anomalies of oral structures, that is lips, tongues, hard palate, soft palate, or nasopharynx, etc., often cause specific speech problems. Oral structural anomalies may be congenital, as in cleft palate, or it may be acquired, as in after a trauma. The correlation between structural defects and articulation skills is not highly predictable. There are many examples of individuals with structural deficits who have developed compensatory gestures to create acoustically acceptable speech. Similarly, a number of genetic disorders can cause problems with speech sound acquisition or may even serve as a source of speech sound disorders. 2 of the most general and well-documented genetic syndromes are Down syndrome and Fragile X syndrome. Both Down syndrome and Fragile X syndrome include different degrees of cognitive impairment that might delay speech sound acquisition. Another characteristic feature that is shared in both children with Down syndrome and Fragile X syndrome is that it is difficult to understand what they speak. Another subgroup of organically based speech sound disorders consist of those with significant hearing loss, often congenital. One of the vital components in both production and comprehension of speech and in monitoring one's own speech is a part of auditory system that is sensitive to the frequency range for normal speech sounds. The impairment in this system can lead to problems in decoding the received sound signal. In that case, words will be perceived in a different way uh, from what we hear normally. Another known group of children with organically based speech sound disorders are those with neuromotor impairments as dysarthria and childhood apraxia of speech. Now let's move on to functional phonological disorder. In the majority of children with speech sound disorder, the origin of impairments is not known. As mentioned earlier, until 1970, most speech language pathologists referred to these children as having functional articulation disorder. It's only later studies on phonological disorder came into being, and today the term functional phonological disorder is quite common. Speech articulation at a motor level requires muscle strength, speed of movement, suitable range of excursion, precision of movements, harmonization of multiple movements, motor control, and muscle tone. Impairment in any of these neuromuscular functions can have an effect on motor speech production, processes like phonation, respiration, or velopharyngeal function. Children with functional phonological disorder are the largest group of children referred to speech and language therapy centers. In general, these children have normal hearing, intelligence, and show typical social, emotional, and behavior skills. However, their receptive and expressive language abilities are inappropriate for their age. There is considerable evidence that children with functional phonological disorder are a heterogeneous population. They're different in terms of severity and type of their surface errors. One of the methods proposed in literature for subcategorization of the children with developmental phonological disorder is to subdivide them in terms of the severity of their disorder. Now, in 1977, Schreberg developed a criteria that was called percentage consonant correct, PCC, and PCC is calculated based on a 5 to 10 minute spontaneous speech sample. The results are classified so that a PCC greater than 90% demonstrates a mild disorder, and 65 to 85% demonstrate mild moderate disorder. 50 to 65% suggest a moderate severe disorder, and less than 50 percentage points to severe speech impairment. On the other hand, some other researchers believe that severity ratings are subjective and dependent on the clinician's experience. Some scholars believe that psycholinguistic models are the best solution for classifying children with speech sound disorders. Psycholinguistic models assume a child's speech impairment as a breakdown in different aspects of input processing, output processing, and internal representation, which lead to various type of speech disorders. Psycholinguistic methods have the advantage of recognizing a defect that can be targeted in treatment. Another categorization system is based on symptomatology. It is a linguistic approach that describes the linguistic characteristics of errors observed in child speech and is based on the types of speech sound errors observed. We now saw how to subcategorize the children with developmental phonological disorder. We can do it on the basis of severity, symptomatology, and psycholinguistic methods. Another scholar, Dodd, in 2005 claimed that none of these approaches are adequate for subtyping children with developmental phonological disorder. According to him, it is the surface error patterns that present the best perspective on categorization and are able to explain the nature of the disorder. He proposed a classification of subgroups of developmental phonological disorders, which include articulation disorder, phonological delay, consistent phonological disorder, and inconsistent phonological disorder. In this classification system, children with inconsistent errors are distinguished as specifically unintelligible. So, in this module, we got introduced to the concept of phonological disorder and the characteristics of atypical phonological development. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you.